All right, are you buying the happiness principle? Are you convinced that the action that creates the greatest good for the greatest number is by definition the morally correct action? Maybe let's come at that with this question. Can you conceive of any set of circumstances, any scenario, in which it would be morally justifiable to kill an innocent, non-threatening human being? Okay, so this is not a person who's done anything wrong, and they're not a person who is a danger or a threat to anyone else. Is there any conceivable circumstance where you believe it would be morally justifiable to kill this person? Okay, so maybe take a step back into your own moral framework here and ask yourself, can I imagine any set of circumstances that I would find myself in where I think I would actually nod my head and say, I think it's morally justifiable to kill this innocent, non-threatening human being? Now put your utilitarian goggles on here for a second and think like a utilitarian. And you're thinking about the totality of all of the pains, all of the pleasures, all of the contentment, satisfaction, all the suffering. Is there any conceivable scenario where the benefits to killing this innocent human being would outweigh the costs? Is it possible for such a scenario to even exist? And maybe the way we can answer this question is to think about this. Is it ever justifiable to drop a nuclear bomb? Because a nuclear bomb is going to take out a lot of innocent, non-threatening people. And of course, we've confronted this question as a civilization already. In August of 1945, the United States decided to drop 2 nuclear bombs on 2 cities in Japan, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, innocent people, kids in schools and so forth. Okay, and the argument at the time was this. They, the Japanese, must be administered a tremendous shock which would carry convincing proof of our power to destroy the entire Japanese empire. The decision to use the atomic bomb was a decision that brought death to over 100,000 Japanese, but this deliberate, premeditated destruction was our least abhorrent choice. Okay, so you can see the utilitarian thinking here. Okay, so at the time, military leaders, they thought, hey, we have a number of different options available to us to try to end this war with Japan. And Japan has said they're not giving up. They're not stopping. They'd rather be completely destroyed than, so the leaders said this, the leaders would rather be completely destroyed than give up in this war effort. One option available to us is we could do a land invasion of the mainland of Japan. But we have good reason to believe that if we do so, 1 million Japanese people will die. And some, untold number of American soldiers will die. The other option that we think we have available to us is to drop these bombs. Okay? So is dropping the bombs and killing all of these innocents morally justifiable from a utilitarian standpoint? And I think the answer is that, yeah, I think from a utilitarian standpoint, you could make the argument, based on the kinds of logic that we've been exploring in previous lectures, that there's a justification from a utilitarian perspective for dropping these bombs, because all things considered, and by all things, I mean all of the pain, all of the suffering that's avoided by dropping the bomb, all of that is outweighed by the benefit that we get from ending this war and saving all of these other innocent lives, this greater number of innocent lives. Now think about this. Imagine this. You've got a time machine, and you use this time machine to travel back in time all the way until Hitler's time as a baby. And yes, this is a picture of baby Hitler. And you find yourself alone in a room with baby Hitler. And the question would be this. Is it morally justifiable to kill baby Hitler? Okay, baby Hitler hasn't done the horrific things that he's going to end up doing. Okay, he hasn't done those things yet. In other words, he's an innocent baby, and this baby's not threatening you. This baby's not threatening anybody. It's just sitting there in its cage. Would it be morally justifiable to kill baby Hitler? And in this scenario, you can't try to wiggle your way out by saying, well, no, I'd take him to the zoo and then take him to Chuck E. Cheese for pizza, and then he wouldn't want to kill all those millions of people later on. That's not an option available to us. You have 2 choices, or you have one choice. You can either kill baby Hitler, or you can get back in your time machine and go back in time, or go forward in time, back home. What do you do? Well, from a utilitarian standpoint, it seems like, knowing what we know about Hitler's going to do at some point, if this is the only action available to us that would allow us to stop Hitler, then maybe we could morally justify killing an innocent baby from a utilitarian standpoint. But maybe if we don't accept a utilitarian standpoint, then maybe there's something more important to us than just the greatest good for the greatest number.